Peugeot Citroën. PSA, as it's known, has been struggling for some time now, mainly because of falling sales in Europe. We got some new data this Monday that didn't raise much hope. Overall sales fell 4.9% in 2013 compared with the previous year. Across Europe, sales fell over 7%. Now, the best results came from emerging markets. 42% of PSA sales were outside of Europe, and the fastest growth came from China. China is also where Peugeot is looking for capital. It's confirmed that it's in advanced discussions with the Chinese motor group Dongfeng and with the French state to raise some €3 billion of urgently needed capital. That would amount to about a 15% stake each. Let's listen to PSA's managing director.
The future of Citroën, of course, depends on a stable situation in Europe, but mostly on growth, and places where there is growth, like China. We've lost 40% of our market share in Europe, and we can't be satisfied with that.
Peugeot's shares closed down over 11%. Now, China's economic growth clocked in at just 7.7% last year. That's higher than the government's target rate of 7.5%, but not an increase on 2012. So what's behind the sudden stabilization of the world's second largest economy? Jonathan Crane explains.
China, an economic powerhouse, but it would appear its days of double-digit growth are over. The Chinese economy levelled off in 2013, with GDP expanding by 7.7%, the same as the year before. Those figures represent the slowest rate of growth since 1999. While China's GDP expansion still exceeds that of the United States, Japan or Europe, the stagnation underlines the balancing act faced by the ruling Communist Party as it begins to adopt painful economic reforms.
2013 was not an ordinary year, but only by putting things into context can we understand the difficulties we faced.
Among the reforms are measures aimed at driving domestic consumption and opening up the market to the private sector, thereby reducing dependence on exports and the state-driven lending that's fueled growth, but also led to mounting debts. Analysts predict the short-term pain will be worth it.
The fact that we are seeing the Chinese economy slow down in 2013, I think is not just a huge plus for the long-term growth of the economy, but it also signals confidence by the government that both the country and the party can withstand the challenges of this new policy shift.
GDP is expected to slow further in the coming year, though it's hoped exports will pick up if the US and European economies continue their recovery.
Now, that data sent Asian markets into the red earlier this Monday, also having an impact here in Europe, where we saw only the FTSE closing in positive territory. Europe's also partly weighed down by very disappointing figures from Deutsche Bank, which reported a surprise pre-tax loss of over €1 billion for the fourth quarter. Wall Street is closed as the US marks Martin Luther King Day. Let's take a look at some of the day's other business news now. The world's largest chip maker will cut 5% of its staff as it heads into a year where it expects revenue to be flat. Intel said it would slash more than 5,000 jobs in an effort to boost earnings. Last week, the company reported falling profits for the second year in a row. The weak global economic recovery has failed to make a real dent in unemployment figures, and it shows no sign of picking up. That's the gloomy outlook from the International Labour Organization, which said the crisis could continue until 2018, when some 215 million people worldwide could be out of work. The agency said youth unemployment rates were nearly 3 times the adult rate, a historical record, and urged governments around the world to focus more on labour markets and less on austerity. And about half of South Koreans have fallen victim to a hacker. A computer contractor working for a company that produces credit scores stole personal data, including credit card details and social security numbers, of 20 million people and sold that information to marketing firms. The contractor has already been taken into custody, along with some managers of the firms that bought the data. And finally, Amazon is taking the principle of knowing its customers to a whole new level. The online giant has patented anticipatory shipping, getting a product on its way before customers even finalize the purchase. The process is based on previous orders, product searches, and wish lists, with the idea being to cut down on shipping time. It's just the latest move from Amazon that seems to come from the future. It's already planning a fleet of delivery drones. I'll be back with more business throughout the evening. For now, it's back to you, Francois.
All right, many thanks for that. Kate Moody with all of the business news. Let's turn our attention now to sports. We start in Melbourne. Hello, Daniel Levy.
Hello.
The Australian Open now into its